right, it is Thursday, and guys, it's been a great week. We've enjoyed having our face-to-face kids so much, and we are enjoying getting to work with you guys online as well. All right, our agenda today, Thursday. You've already completed your question of the day, watching your teacher video. You have a writing journal. You get to practice writing a letter today, and then you're going to complete some analyze the text questions referring to the breadwinner. I hope that you're reading through your weekly objectives, making sure that we're touching on all of these things. By the end of the week, you're going to be held accountable for these. And our essential question, how do you find courage in the face of fear? Continue thinking about that as we keep talking about the breadwinner.
And we're going to analyze the setting and character of our story. Analyze means to think very deeply about the characters and the settings. When you have a story, your setting is very important because your setting helps your character to know how to speak, how to move. It just makes a world of difference. If I'm writing a story about a character in Antarctica, that character is going to wear different clothing. That character is going to act different than, say, a character that I'm writing about from Hawaii. They're going to have different clothing. They're going to have different styles. Everything in those stories is going to change because of the setting. And so in our story, we have a setting where it's in Afghanistan. Hopefully, if you haven't done so yet, you've looked, maybe you've used Google and looked up Afghanistan and see where it is on a map so that you realize what part of the world that is. And this story, The Breadwinner, is historical fiction. And a historical fiction story is set in the past, and it uses cultural elements of a particular time and place. And the setting or the time of the setting or the time and the place in which the action occurs influences how the character develops or how the characters change throughout the story. And you can see that with Parvana. Her story is set in Afghanistan, and because of that setting, everything in that story changes. Really, it helps to make the story what it is. If Parvana were in America, would she have had to cut her hair? Would she have been able to go to the market? Everything kind of revolves around where she's from. That's the story. It's her culture. It has to do with where she is. In The Breadwinner, that setting is set in Afghanistan, and it's very, very harsh. What does harsh mean?
Mean, not very kind.
So it's in a setting, it's in a place where people just aren't very kind. It's a different kind of, it's a different country, and things are just different kind of way of life, really. And as you read The Breadwinner, I want you to note how the characters respond to that setting. How do they interact with that setting? Think about the rules, because in this story, the rules for men are different than the rules for women. Think about how they dress and how they behave. You're going to have a chart like this. Are they filling this in?
No, if they had their book in front of them,
Gotcha.
They would be able to do this, but we'll just talk about it.
We're just going to talk about it today. We're not going to have you fill it out today, but we're going to analyze the settings and the characters. So I want you to think here about the character of Parvana, and I want you to think about what is her setting. So, Ms. Norman, what's the setting that Parvana finds herself in?
She is in Afghanistan in the late 90s, and the Taliban have taken control, and they've issued some very harsh rules for the women of that country.
And those rules are she can't go out to the store, right? And because she can't go out to the store, her family doesn't have food, and they need someone to go to get food. What does she have to do? How does she change?
She has to cut off her hair to appear like a little boy so that she can go in the shops.
So her setting means that she has to change the way she looks. Okay, what about Noria, the sister? Miss Cook, how does Noria change?
Well, Noria is a young woman, and so there's no way that Noria can appear to be a boy. Even if she cut her hair, if she went out, they would know that she was a girl. And so she really has to stay home and take care of her little brother. And on top of this, Noria's mother has been through a lot of trauma with the jailing of her father, with the killing of her brother. And so Noria has had to take on the role of the mother at 17 years old and really become the mother figure in the home.
And think about how Noria feels to have to all of a sudden become the mother. Really, she's the kind of the one running the household, taking care of the little brother. She can't, I mean, she's not the one that's going out helping the family outside of the house. Do you think she feels kind of lost and upset? Probably a little helpless, stressed out. Not something that we typically think of 17-year-olds doing, but because of her setting and where she finds herself, that's the expectation. She has to do that. And what about mother? Think about how the setting is affecting the mother. She's had her child killed. She's lost her child. And now her daughter is having to cut her hair to look like a boy. And all of that is leading to mother being very withdrawn. She's very out of the picture. She's not really acting as a parent. Really, Noria is the one that's acting more as a parent. And the mother is just kind of out of the picture a little bit. She's not filling in that role that we think of as a mother filling. Really, she's just kind of out there. So when you're reading a story, you're taking parts of that setting and you're thinking through, how do those characters change because of that setting? Why are they the way that they are because of that setting? If we change the setting, how does that change the characters? How does it change the story? In this case, the whole story revolves around the setting. Because if we move that story into a different country, the whole story is different. All completely changes.
So we're going to look at some different questions after reading The Breadwinner. So I'd like you to go back and read The Breadwinner. Remember, you have the PDF that you can look at. Read through and really think about some of the things that Miss Shuttlesworth has talked about with the setting and the character. And then we're going to talk about some different things in the story. So once you get your textbook and once HMH is working correctly, there are questions in the margins, and we'll have you guys writing and highlighting and circling things in the margins. Today we're just going to talk about a few of these questions and really digging into the story and analyzing it. So we're going to talk about this one. It says in paragraphs 12 through 16, find Parvana's reaction to the idea that she should disguise herself as a boy. How might Parvana's reaction affect the plot? So if we go to paragraph 12, I can actually see here, Parvana says, it won't work. I won't look like a boy. I have long hair. And then she said, it looked to Parvana as if Noria was having too much fun. So she didn't really think that Noria was taking this seriously. She said, you're not cutting my hair?
She didn't want her hair cut. And she didn't like this. She didn't like that her big sister, it almost makes it sound to me like her big sister is, in a sense, making fun.
She's
Kind of like
joy.
Yeah,
in this
there
moment.
you go. Finding joy in the moment, kind of standing in the corner like, ha, 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 I'm glad it's you and not me type of thing. Which everybody's been there, whether it's your brother, sister, cousin, friend, everybody's been in that moment where somebody's off to the corner kind of doing that ha 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 ha, and you're kind of like, hey, that's not fair.
And you think about, we talked about this a couple days ago, if Parvana had decided not to cut her hair, it would have changed the entire story. And you think, how would her family have been taken care of? So it's really interesting that Noria is making fun of her at this really important moment. So our next question we're going to talk about is in paragraph 53. Find what Noria says in response to Parvana's disguise, and then find what Noria is thinking. What do we learn about Noria here? So Noria is an interesting character, I think, because there are a lot of different things about her, and it takes a little while to figure her out. If I come down to paragraph 53, it says, you look less ugly as a boy than you do as a girl, Noria said quickly. If Mother started remembering Hossein, she'd just start crying again. So it sounds at first like Noria's being really mean, but then our author gives us a little snippet of why she said that. And why do you think that she said that?
Noria, like we said in the just a minute ago, she's taken on this role almost as the adult, the mother figure of this household, and she knows that if her mother sees Parvana looking like her brother that has passed away and been killed, that her mother's going to start crying again. Her mother's going to lose it. So she says this little jab at Parvana to make the situation less tense.
Kind of distract her mom.
To distract her mom.
And, you know, people do that sometimes, maybe at someone else's expense, have to say something like that.
So we probably, without even thinking about it, we've probably all done it at some point. We've made a comment at someone else's expense to save a moment. We've all done it.
And, you know, I think that shows that Noria's priority is her mom at this point and her mom's feelings.
I don't think that the author put that there to make Noria seem ugly or hateful towards her sister. I think it's more for you to learn how she views her mother.
It's more of a depth for Noria than just being the snotty big sister.
She's not the big bully sister. There really is a heart under there, a heart for her mother and for the situation.
And I think Noria has a big internal struggle that she's dealing with. So you'll see there are several questions. I would encourage you to look at these questions, pull up the PDF or your HMH website and kind of find some of these things. You don't have to write it down. It's not an assignment, but it is important to start thinking about your story, analyzing it, thinking about why the author made certain choices, why the characters behave the way that they do. It will help you understand the story better.
And that's just what good readers do. Good readers don't just read a story and say, I'm done, I read it. Good readers will read the story multiple times. I mean, I can tell you there are books that I have read 5, 6, 7 times and I still learn new things. Good readers read those things over and over and they're looking for new things to learn in those stories. They're doing the work of diving in and analyzing those characters and thinking about the setting. It's important to do that as a good reader.
And once you finish reading The Breadwinner again, you're going to take a Google quiz that is analyzing the text questions. So there's going to be a few questions that are going to have you go back to the text, either like in your book or in the PDF in Google Classroom, that PDF of the text. And you're going to look up those answers and you're going to write down some really thoughtful responses to these open-ended questions.
So
they're in a Google quiz.
Thoughtful, does that mean that I'm just writing one word or writing I don't know?
No. Please don't write IDK or I don't know. Really, if the question is a hard question and you're really not sure how to approach it, it's better to put forth just a little bit of effort to maybe even give what you think the answer may be, instead of just not trying at all. And so just make the effort, even if it's a tough question that you're struggling with.
A lot of times we give credit for trying. And so if, let's say there's 10 points to give and you try and you're kind of close to the right answer, we may give you 5 of those points. But if you write IDK or I don't know or random words that have nothing to do with the story, you're not going to get any of those points. You have to put forth the effort and write sentences starting with a capital, ending with punctuation. These are short answers that are meant to be sentences. You're answering those.
And you can do it, guys.
For sure.
You can do this.
All right, writing journal prompt today. What is a profession or job that requires you to be courageous?
Ooh, that's a good one.
This is not a one-word response, okay? We still have to write 10 sentences, okay? So if I say a teacher has to be courageous, I'm not going to leave it at that. A teacher has to be courageous because they have to stand up in front of students and speak to them, okay? I could carry on and on from there. Tell me why. Tell me what that profession does, what those people do that makes them courageous. I want at least 10 sentences.
And then we are actually going to get to write our letter today.
Woohoo!
So, yay.
That's exciting.
This picture up here, Miss Shuttlesworth talked about it yesterday super well. And it's got our heading, our greeting, the body, and the closing. If you go into Google Classroom and open up an assignment, it's going to say something like writing practice, how to write an informal letter. When you open that up, there's going to be a PDF with instructions that tell you what's going to be expected of your letter. And there's also going to be another example. So you're going to get instructions and an example in that PDF. And then you're going to have a Google Doc template. We've made a copy for every student. So all you have to do is click on that Google Doc that says letter template. And then you are going to fill in the spaces of that letter with your greeting, with your body, with your closing, with your name. And then you are going to submit that. You're going to mark that as done to us, okay? And everything that you need to know is laid out in those instructions. And the template is super easy to fill in. If you do have any questions or you're not really sure how to click something, just let us know and we'll walk you through it. But I'm really excited to read your letters.
And once you have finished and you've done all of today's work, you're going to mark your assignments done. And great job, and we will see you tomorrow.
Bye.